Hi everyone, welcome to the FlowFest 2022. We are very happy to be back with a fully virtual event. I'm Fabio Filippelli, VP of Customer Success here at Flowable, and will be moderating today the business stream of FlowFest. We will have 6 presentations today, a lot of exciting use cases to be shown from our customers, so stay tuned and follow us throughout the whole day. In parallel to these sessions, there are also other sessions from the technical stream and from the architectural stream. All sessions are going to be recorded and you can actually watch them after the FlowFest because they will be made available for you guys. Before we start, just a few technical questions. You have the possibility to ask questions at any time in the illustrated Q&A section below the screen. We will always dedicate a slot at the end of each presentation to answer as many questions as possible. So let's start with the first session today. It's a Flowable customer in the financial industry based in Abu Dhabi, Hilal Bank. Hilal Bank is represented today by 2 exciting speakers. We have with us Rishi Saraswat, the CTO at Hilal Bank, and Deepak Sharma, the lead BPM consultant, which was involved in the development of the Flowable products from day one. Please welcome to the stage Rishi and Deepak to show us the orchestration and automation use cases with Flowable. Up to you.
Hello. It's all good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's move on to the first slide. Hi guys. Thank you very much for having us here. Look, from my perspective, I'll probably start with the agenda would be we'll break it into sort of 2 pieces. We'll start with a little bit of an introduction of Hilal Bank. What were the drivers? You know, we have been going through a huge digitization journey, and then how we ended up bringing Flowable as a fit for purpose technology stack. I'll start off, and then once I'm done with the introduction and the background, I will hand off to Deepak to go through the use cases and the specific implementations and learnings that we have had, and hopefully that would be a useful sort of a journey for all of us here. You move on to the next slide. Yes, so Hilal Bank, if you guys are not aware, basically this was a Sharia compliant bank that was started about 8 to 10 years back in Abu Dhabi. It went through a rapid process of customer acquisition, as it was going through the scale-up process, it got overtaken by Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank, which is the 2nd largest bank. And since then, we have been running their Sharia compliant digital banking arm. The entire goal at that point in time was to create a digital-only Sharia compliant bank that is able to scale and is also able to replicate itself in other markets in the region. So we basically went back to the basics of the banking and basically said, you know, guys, what do we need to do to make ourselves completely scalable? So there are a couple of basic principles that were laid out, which meant that we will stop using the legacy stack. We will go fully cloud native, and we will have own digital only bank. So it was designed ground up with as a branchless banking, and with design for no operations as the baseline. What we also wanted at the same time was not to be purely a bank. If you guys have actually experienced this app, at the very center is the marketplace and the whole lifestyle experience. It sort of seamlessly takes you into the banking. So it's a very different sort of an experience when for the Hilal Bank customers, which obviously we are very, very proud of. And getting more to the next one. So like I said, key things that he wanted to do was to launch a new digital-only bank, and increase our penetration into the market and lower our costs to onboarding the customers. So we today have a fully digital onboarding. It obviously required a full cultural shift all the way from our management top management. So it was about not trying to digitize your existing processes, but actually come up with processes that were digital at core, right? The whole organization was restructured end to end as product teams so that they're able to look at a customer lifecycle or a customer journey end to end, right from the mobile app to other digital touch points that we have as part of the app. And like I had previously mentioned, there was a whole super app concept that was conceptualized, which is pretty much in production now, which had obviously the banking, but much more. So the when the customer goes in, he gets a lot more value. He or she gets a lot more value than just going into a banking app. With that, one of a few of the core things that came were we knew that we had to keep innovation at the core of everything that we do. It was not something. So today, for example, in our teams, we do not have an innovation. Innovation has to be done as part of your business delivery. There has to be a business value that is associated with innovation. Otherwise, it's just an experimentation that happens inside. So we made a conscious decision that this would be part of our day-to-day work. Rapid experimentation obviously comes as part of innovation. If you can experiment quickly, there's very little you can do with innovation. And the third thing, which actually should be probably the first, was data first. Again, because we were making our bank ground up. It was very easy for us to achieve because we said, look, everything that we're going to do, we have to make sure that we are capturing data and we are able to get a lot of intelligence. So today, when we talk to our businesses, we have been live for last. We went live in February, so I've been live for about 7-8 months. We actually talk highly data-driven decisions. So it's very, very engaging to talk to our CEO who actually looks at data, makes decisions, decides on how to pivot onto our product strategy, and that has been a very good journey. Let's move on. Now, taking a little bit of a step back in terms of what has evolved, also in the way we look at banking and the way we work. So we are in increasingly fast-changing world, right? Especially banking is going through a massive amount of disruption. They're about, I'm not wrong, a little bit north of 50 financial institutions in Abu Dhabi, in UAE, which is a very small country. A lot of them are new banks, right? And the traditional banks are being challenged in the way we deliver stuff, in the way we bring value to the customers. So we are being challenged on an everyday basis, and we have had to change the way we think. And no more, there was a time when I worked in a few institutions before, where we went through this robotic process automation or business process automation stages, where you take the business process and say, okay, how can I automate it? The discussion now that we're having is, how do I stop thinking about how I used to do the process before, but reimagine it, right? And it has to be a completely new digital process, which is completely self-service, and it has to be secure at the same time. It has to be auditable. So none of those requirements have gone away, right? All of those requirements still remain, but we have to reimagine how we are going to engage with the customer. We have to, at the same time, scale, bring down our costs, and incrementally release the product. Now, we're gone are the days where you go and say, okay, I'm going to come back after 6 months and deliver a product. The business wants products as soon as we have the first leg of the product ready, which includes lead generation, and then incrementally we keep releasing the product. We have had instances where we have launched from whiteboard to actual production app within 6 weeks, right? Which included the full regression, which included user sign-off, compliance sign-off, audit sign-off, and everything that would come with the product launch. While we are going through this transition, obviously COVID has been another accelerator in terms of how we work, right? People are working remotely. So we have squads that are distributed across at the minimum 4 to 5 geographies. So we have to all come together. We have to understand the requirements and we have to deliver at never known speed, right? I mean, at increasingly great speeds. I don't, by the way, feel like we are working for banks anymore. It always feels like we are working for a tech organization that is delivering, for a bank. So, so we have had to again rethink the way we the technology stack that we use, not to just deliver the code, but also to interact with our developers and with our product owners and proxy product owners, our compliance teams. It has been a great accelerator as far as rethinking how we work is concerned. At the same time, a big shift has happened from service-oriented architecture to microservices architecture. Now, once you change the fundamental architectures, the way you are organized yourself also changes. So we don't have big teams that were efficiently run, but they had like 50 people. We had lots of small teams that need to come together to deliver the end-to-end business value. That basically means that you need to give your independence back to each of these teams so that they can independently move. So the technology stacks that we use have to mimic that sort of a behavior. So I cannot go back. I mean, obviously, there are still product systems that you would use that would end up being monoliths, but everything that is on top of it, the ecosystem surrounding it, has to be nimble enough, has to have limited side effects, so that one team is not breaking the functionality of the other team, and they're able to achieve their outcomes at speed and at scale. So basically, the point being that we have to always think about the tech stack that supports distributed teams, that supports rapid delivery, that supports independence of the teams to operate, that helps you interact with all your stakeholders, where you're able to sort of say, okay, this is how I'm going to build it. This is what the outcome is going to be, the demonstrable value of a particular business process, and then be able to take it to production. So when we're looking at this, we went through quite a bit of, like any organization would do, to go out there, look at all the products in the market, identify that would fit our purpose. And to be honest, I'm fairly happy. I mean, that we made our choice with Flowable pretty much ticks all the boxes in theory. And then as we have explored more, and I think as I hand over Deepak, he'll share how we have ourselves evolved. We started with a footprint of how we thought we would use Flowable, and it has evolved as we have explored more about this tech stack, and give control back to our teams, to distributed teams, to use Flowable's capability without actually for lack of a better word, stomping on each other's foot. So it has been a decent experience. With that, I will hand over to Deepak to continue with our experiences and our learning. And then towards the end, we will open up for questions.
Okay. Thanks, Rishi, for sharing the details about Hilal Bank in simple and holistic words, which is easy to understand and follow. And now I'll take it further for the subsequent agenda of experience of using Flowable in Hilal Bank for the digitalization journey. So before I start further, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Deepak Sharma, who is working as a Flowable lead in Hilal Bank. Prior to that, I have an experience in working for the digitalization journey using Flowable in other banks like Credit Suisse and Bank of Julius Baer. And so coming back to the agenda to start with, during the transition journey of the bank from legacy to going digital, we have many issues, and few specific issues are around to address in terms of coordination between the microservices. We were looking to shortlist a product or tool which can orchestrate services in efficiently, scalable, and with low code practice. So with that journey, when we were starting from legacy to digital, we were consulting and shortlisting few products with those capabilities, and management have analyzed those few products in depth and have compared the features and finally shortlisted Flowable to be the orchestrator tool into Hilal Bank. So there are many reasons for shortlisting the Flowable, and the problem statement was to communicate and coordinate within bank between various applications which we developed as a microservice patterns and products in an efficient, transparent, and scalable manner. Okay. And also there was a requirement to automate and maintain the state of applications request between different applications. So the solution which has been found and the product tool which has been shortlisted is Flowable. And as Rishi mentioned, in the theoretically, we have analyzed many capabilities of the tool. But with the time we are utilizing and implementing Flowable, we are also making check on the out of the box implementation of the product capabilities. So in order to continue, we would like to also share why we have shortlisted Flowable. So the few key reasons is to provide an orchestration between microservices as an architecture framework. It has a capability to do the orchestration, which is what the main requirement when we were shortlisting a low-code tool who can take care of the orchestration capabilities, and Flowable fits very well into that requirement. Also supports the microservice deployment and integration strategy. Then Flowable comes with the Java-based lightweight executable engines, which help us to develop the applications which are Java-based, ease of the adoption and scalability. So it has been well proven that Flowable provides the scalability of the transactions and number of requests we will meet. It supports the ease of adoption and scalability as per the requirement. And one of the very main key feature, it supports the triple crown of object management group standards and notations. If you talk about the BPMN, case management, or DMN, so it is one of the tool in the market which supports all three standards. So when we have any like a requirement in order to go for the sequential process workflow management, where we have the all the performance tasks are well defined, we will go for the BPMN model design. However, there are scenarios and we have a use cases where the workflow design is quite dynamic and event based. So it is well managed with the case management modeling and notation, as well as at the same time, if we have any decision modeling notation requirement, we are using DMNs as well, which is very easy to use and implement for any business rules implementation. Along with that, BPMN, case management, and DMN, it also provides extensive support for the Flowable forms as an embedded engine into the product itself. So if we have any UI related requirement, we can also use it. As of now, we are not leveraging it to the requirement, but yeah, that is also very good added advantage as a product we'll be having. And we are still analyzing how efficiently we can use Flowable forms as well in near future along with the orchestration. Apart from that, we have a very excellent support on the Flowable issues and change requests as per the SLA from the product team. So if we have any issues, right, we'll go back to the support team and report those issues. And we are very happy to share our feedback that support team is quite efficient in terms of the response time. Now, these are the few key advantage we have discussed so far. Apart from that, how Flowable is best fit as an orchestration tool in Hilal Bank after shortlisting it, and why we have gone with this product. So the key features and the points are like it acts as a solution to discover, design, orchestrate, and automate processes within overall bank. When we are moving from legacy bank to digital journey, we have a lot of processes which needs an orchestration, and this Flowable as a product, right, which fit as a solution to drive all those capabilities. So in the bank, it acts as a centerpiece of the workflow, which orchestrates the platform capabilities. And also as a low-code platform, it provides faster and simpler way to build, not only the application, but which can be scalable and feature rich, that orchestrate all the resources with a seamless workflow. So in end-to-end journey, if we want to orchestrate between the Kafka or any messaging events, we have an orchestration between the microservices using REST API principles, or nevertheless any other features. Flowable as a low-code platform provide us a quick and efficient development and to provide a solution within the bank. So that is why it is a preferred choice to orchestrate the events in the messaging queue system. Here in the bank, we are using Kafka. So it orchestrates as a preferred choice, and microservices for all the RESTful integrations as an API. Also, it has a flexibility to integrate with microservice architecture and follow the CI/CD strategies with the Azure cloud. So here, like in bank, as we are digital, we are using cloud, and all our applications, microservices are being deployed into the Azure cloud as a Kubernetes containers. Flowable has also these capabilities where it supports on-premises deployment as well as integration and deployment strategies with the Azure cloud. And with that, we have also like maintain the CI/CD strategies also in when we are going for the deployment. With that, I'll move on to the next slide where we have added values of using this product, where it comes with a technology integration. So if we talk about Flowable as a product, it gives you a flavor and flexibility to integrate with the different technologies. Likewise, the product engines have been very lightweight Java-based engines. But if you want to integrate with Kotlin or some other technology, it is there. If you want to have an integration with messaging queues, likewise, we have an out-of-the-box implementation with RabbitMQ or Kafka or JMS, and even you can go for the custom implementation as well. Likewise, if you want to have any service integration, we can use the Java code using the service task. But if you go to the next level, we have out-of-the-box implementation of service task as well, which is HTTP task, where you just plug and play all the RESTful integrations using those. So these are the few examples, but using this product, right, you get a lot of flexibility in terms of the technology integration, whether as a build tool you want to use Maven or some other build tool, we can also use it. It also provides the quick development as a low-code platform. We can also use reusable design components. It also benefits in encouraging the stakeholder participation through graphical expressive notation. So when we design and develop a workflow, it also encourages the non-technical participants as well to understand what we are going to design and develop. It has the capability to fit into the framework of digital transformation of banking platform, as we discussed in the earlier slides. And it provides the flexibility to use the multiple instances of Flowable work-end platform. So the license of the enterprise product is quite flexible, how we want to use. So if we have a requirement to use the multiple instances, that is there. Nevertheless, to mention excellent product support, and we have a timely release of the service packs for the bugs and new features from the product time to time. So this is something about the problems we face initially when we were looking for a product which drives the capabilities of orchestration. And then after onboarded it, we have some experience and some lessons learned, which we are going to discuss here. So from the beginning, like we went live with the digitalization in February. In last 8 months, we were working on different applications to design and develop. So deployment of Flowable microservices is in a containerized ports of the Azure cloud, as we are fully digital. So all our applications and microservices, including Flowable as a microservice, are being deployed into Azure cloud containerized platform. It has fitment of the Flowable capabilities into AHP digital architecture, the way we have designed the overall architecture of the bank. Flowable fits very well into that architecture parameters and implementation of CI/CD principles for BPM applications. So whatever applications we are developing in Flowable using design, they have been deployed into the subsequent environment following the CI/CD principles. Along with that, the next experience, like those things we have already finalized. And after that, creation of Flowable work microservices domain-based. So in bank, we have different domains. So with that, we are using Flowable work multi-instance license to develop the microservices domain-based. And after that, to identify the features of Flowable BPM to be used as per compliance, architecture, and integration of the existing applications that we are ensuring will be aligned to that. After that, once we have finalized the workflows, we have also set up the REST API blueprint architecture, where we have come up with a REST API blueprint architecture where few common operations like initiate workflow, completing a user task, claim, unclaim, those sort of APIs, we have a custom code for which we have designed a architecture which are being done once and will be used by the other domain microservices as a ready to use functionality. Now, coming to the stack flexibility with the Flowable, as I mentioned, it is an added advantage. Like one of the key feature when we have shortlisted Flowable BPM, like in terms of the database, it almost support all various database which are being used by the industry in terms of Oracle, MS SQL, DB2, Postgres. Same way, you can have a flexibility with the dependency management. We have few applications which has been developed using Maven or Gradle. It is there. Product usage as an open source or enterprise, so we can choose what is been required for the usage. Likewise, Engage, we are not using it, so product is not limiting us. We can use what is been required as per the company's requirement, and we can get those options to be enabled as per the license. It has a flexible programming language support, scripting language support. You use JavaScript, Groovy, Core Java, Spring Boot, Kotlin. These are there. Out of the box integration with different flavors. We have either for messaging, Java, or deployments. We can do it. And customization of code over out of the box implementation. So we have various cases in our application where we, even after having the out of the box implementation, we have a use case where instead of using it as is, we want to do it customized. And thankfully, with some consulting discussions, we are able to achieve it. Like in case of the Kafka integration, we require a specific customization which was not there in the product, but still it is not stopping us to go ahead. We did it with some custom implementation. So that's where it is an added advantage. If you talk about the flexibility of deployment, it has on-premises as well as deployment available on cloud, like we are using Azure. And nevertheless, if you want to enable or disable few features, Flowable comes up with a lot many Flowable custom properties which you can use in order to enable or disable the features as a plugin as per the requirement of the organization. The current tech stack we are using is we are moved to the latest version of Flowable, which is 3.12.1 release. And Spring Boot, which has been supported, we are using 274. Database, we are using Postgres. Dependency management, we have Maven and Gradle both based upon the applications. Infra is Azure Cloud. Containerization is Kubernetes. And programming languages, we are using Java 11 and Kotlin 1.5. This is the overall architecture for the integration of and applications with the Flowable. So just to have a quick overview, it is like a containerization setup. So all the integration with the external applications is been done in the private Azure cluster, and it is not being directly exposed to the end user. So all this has been managed internally as per the architecture design of the bank. So I will not go into detail of that. Let's move on to the next part. It also supports the event-driven architecture. So as mentioned, Flowable communicates with other applications by sending or receiving the events or messages. And if you talk about any decoupling of the design patterns which we want to establish, we'll be able to achieve it using EDA architecture. Now, the core component uses, we are using BPMN for processing and sequential workflows, case management for managing any dynamic workflows, and DMN for developing the business rules. Forms are there at the moment. We are not leveraging it, but yeah, REST API we are using extensively, and also it's a pleasure to have multiple custom activities which are available by the product, like data objects, service registry, initialize variables, and many other in order to perform those tasks and to achieve these complex tasks in a low code pattern. Those custom activities are already available with the product, which we can use in the enterprise version, which is easy to, which is very like good use case as a customer to have. Coming back to the next slide, where I mentioned we have developed the blueprint architecture of using the REST APIs. We have not using the direct Swagger implementation, which has been there by the product, but it provides the leverage. You can customize those APIs. So we have used those APIs as a blueprint architecture. We have developed it for the ones, and now it can be hooked by the other domain services to use as is. As an example, these are few APIs which we have done it, but there are many other we have also developed. Now, after all this, we would like to understand what are the business benefit of using it. So applications have a detailed traceability of each request. When we use any BPM or low code product, right, we can trace all the requests. And other benefits, as mentioned, like we can do the reusability, quick development, and it can also act as a central system to maintain the low states. It also provides the CI/CD flexibility. As we mentioned earlier, we can use REST API or Flowable UI components like design or control for the development. And also we can use the Spring Boot microservice as a deployment as a CI/CD. So with that, product is quite flexible. Now, after that, I'll move on to the final part. What are the potential future plans for using Flowable in the Hilal Bank? So to name it few, like it will be acting as an orchestrator platform for core banking applications. And we have a plan to automate the internal manual processes using Flowable. And finally, to migrate the workflow applications, which are we want to migrate from the existing BPM to the Flowable BPM. So with that, we have a lot of work to be done using Flowable. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation, and myself and Rishi will be happy to answer if you have any questions to be asked.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it was very exciting to see what you guys did so far. We already received some questions also for the audience. I mean, you still have the possibility to ask more questions in case you have, but I will now kick off with the first questions. One question which came from the audience, and I guess this is more for you, Rishi. What are the business benefits of the Flowable solution implemented?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. From the business perspective, the biggest advantage that we've gotten is actually the speed. This is by far the most lightweight and the most flexible solution that we have gotten, especially because it has been tied to again back to the squad structure, the way we are structured. The business is able to look at their piece of the business process that needs to be built out, and then without actually having to worry about the rest of the system, they can actually gain quite a bit of speed. That is point number one. Point number two, in the way we have standardized the way we communicate with our businesses and the architects and the technology teams in terms of the BPMN notation that requires to be done, and then quickly that can be codified. So there's a high level of confidence in the business when we are talking about a requirement and the way it then gets materialized. It's quite good. So both in terms of getting the requirements finalized as well from time to production, it gives us the visibility and speed. I think that would be my point. Is there anything that you want to add on top, Deepak?
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, we have additional questions, so we can just go ahead with other questions we got, right? I think this is more for you, maybe, Deepak. How long did the development of the solution take?
Okay. Thanks, Fabio, for having this question. So it depends actually based upon requirement of the business. Okay, how complex and how big that solution is. But the way we have structurized the deployment and creating the blueprint architecture in the vision of Rishi, right? We have domain specific microservices, so we can get the requirements from the different squads. We can work independently on those projects, and as like we have developed the common code and we have the deployment strategies, all these have been covered. So initially it was a time consuming thing when we are going for the deployment strategies and making that established within the bank. But as I said, like we have the blueprint architecture for the APIs, and if we have this domain-based APIs, we have multiple applications which we can work in parallel. But yeah, as part of the low-code capabilities, if we compare it with the conventional development, it gives quite a big edge where we can develop the problems or the solutions quickly, and if we have any fixes or subsequent development, it also provides the agile, so we can do it in a very rapid and scalable pace. I hope I'm able to answer that question.
Thank you.
Rishi, if you want to add in.
Yeah, I'll just add two things, right? So how we approached this problem was we took the Flowable as a framework, and then we basically went through the whole compliance, security, and our DevOps processes, and we took that framework into production. And that took us a bit north of about 2.5 months to get the framework out there in production. So it was live, but the workflows were not live. The platform was. And then once this capability was exposed out to the business, it was much easier, because then the business could say, okay, I understand what the capabilities are. And then they have incrementally rolled out the process flows themselves. And they obviously they differ because the complexity of the process differs, et cetera, et cetera. So, that would be, again, as small as one sprint, and as big as, 3 to 4. So.
Cool. That's quite some speed you have there. I have one last question, which I guess should be answered really fast. Do you have any, let's say, one use case which comes up as next use case?
So we have a whole bunch of lending products that we have gone live with. And we went with the MVP, which basically is very, very small workflows. And as we are making deeper, more digital journeys around those lending, that's where we're going to use a lot more of the Flowable.
Cool. So I think thank you very much. I think we are at the end of today's session. I think thank you, Rishi, and Deepak for being here with us, presenting what exciting things you're doing with Flowable. And yeah, for the audience, we have a 5 minutes break. And after the 5 minutes break, we will continue with the next session. Thank you.